Oh, the old river queen, her big wheels are turning, carrying the ones with a hole in their heart. There is a light in this wandering darkness, and it shall reveal His pure tender love.
It is my pleasure to welcome to the fellowship to Daden's Heart, Philip Graham from Ear Trumpet Labs. Nice to have you here, man.
It is great to be here.
Pleasure to meet you.
Wonderful place.
So we already told you we're really big fans of your microphones. We use them on pretty much all of our demos and live sessions that we do here at the fellowship. So a lot of you out there will also have heard the sound of the Ear Trumpet Labs microphones. Today we're going to dive into these microphones. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of Ear Trumpet Labs as a company. We have most of the microphones that we have in stock right here among us. We're going to talk about each microphone individually. We will have some sound samples of all these guitars, and then we also have the Lonesome Malones here, a really great local bluegrass band, and they are going to do a live session here, also using the Ear Trumpet Labs microphones.
Beyond the plains upon the hill, there's a red pine by the creek, a picket fence and a house of stone, and a girl is all I see.
So,
I'm looking forward to that. That should be great.
let's talk a little bit about Ear Trumpet Labs and how you got started, because you were a software engineer before, right?
Yes.
And then you started experimenting a little bit with cameras. I read something about pinhole cameras as well, making your own guitar amplifiers. What was the first Ear Trumpet Labs microphone that you made, and why did you build it?
So the first microphone was for my daughter Maliki. It was probably very similar to a Louise,
Okay.
The very first ones that I built. But my daughter is a songwriter.
Yeah.
And when she first had things that she thought were worthy of recording, I thought I would help her out with that. And that was literally the first time that I started thinking about microphones at all.
Okay.
And because I had been building different electronics things just to keep my sanity when I had a software job that I didn't like.
Okay.
So I had been building the guitar amps and some PA heads and some preamps and a lot of tube electronics. But I just thought, I wonder how complicated it is to make a microphone.
And how complicated was it?
A lot more than I thought at first.
Okay.
The circuits look deceivingly simple.
Yeah.
And that was why I sort of looked through the circuits and were like, oh, I understand how this works. This maybe won't be too hard. It took a lot of experimentation to get to things that I actually liked the sound of.
And what was the first like problems that you ran into with your first design?
There's just a lot of subtlety in the actual design of the head basket.
Yeah.
The exact placement of the capsule in the head basket, things like that. So it just took some trial and error to get those right. I didn't have much trouble with the circuit from the beginning. I learned a lot more about tuning the circuit to match the exact capsule better.
Yeah.
So over time, I learned a bunch about that and about tuning the JFETs. So they're all hand biased to get the optimal performance of each individual JFET in each mic.
Yeah.
So learning just learning more and more as I built more.
And what were those first years like? Because you built your first microphone, and then maybe you started building more. And why did you? And how was it adapted?
Yeah, well, because if I wasn't quite satisfied with the first one, then I just thought about other ways, other models. The physical designs came just because I was building them in my basement. So a lot of it is just materials that I had to hand, and that's why they end up looking distinct. But that was also something that right from the start I realized as I was building my own, physically they can, a microphone can look like anything. It just needs, as long as you've got electrical shielding around it, that's kind of the only, the subtleties of the sound, then matter, as far as the actual construction in the head basket. But beyond that, you can make them look like anything. And so I was like, well, if I'm making my own, why not make them beautiful or interesting, at least?
Because that's one of the unique selling points of the Ear Trumpet Labs, and one thing that people know the Ear Trumpet microphones for is their wonderful, like, retro vintage look. And you're telling me, like, it was a lot of DIY at first, using different components that you could get your hands on. So how did that first start? So where did you find those components? I read something from bike stores, maybe restaurant supplies.
That's where we settled on sourcing a lot of this stuff. But there's a wonderful sort of junk hardware store in Portland that I would go and prowl through the bins, just looking for plumbing parts and, all kinds of weird, reused, repurposed hardware. And that was how I found parts for the first builds of most of these. Then, as I started thinking about actually doing it as a business, so my daughter first recorded with them and then played out live a few times. And that worked surprisingly well. And then I started focusing on that a little more, like why aren't condenser mics used live more? Because they sound great, And I got frustrated with when I think of the trend in acoustic music of just adopting the live sound techniques that were really for rock and roll, for like live, loud stages. So I would get frustrated hearing folk singers, and we knew a lot of more acoustic folk musicians. And I would get frustrated every time I would see them using a 58 very close and plugging their guitar in.
Under saddle pickups?
Under saddle pickups. Fingernails on a chalkboard.
Yeah. What is it about that sound that really irks you then?
It's just that squawk. Yeah. It's just this kind of really annoying mid-range honk.
Yeah.
And often people with nice instruments, or that you knew if you would just sit with them in the living room and they would play, it would sound amazing.
Yeah.
But that's not how any of that comes across.
There's no pickup that really comes close to having a condenser in front of your instrument.
Right.
Like it's so difficult.
Yeah.
So how did you manage to capture that the performance of a microphone on the stage? Because that's one of the first things that people know about. Like, you can't use a large diaphragm condenser on the stage because you will get feedback. But you proved the whole world, maybe otherwise. I mean, if I can exaggerate a little bit, but how did you manage to do that?
I think just by paying attention to that as something that I wanted them to do. I think there is a lot of design flexibility with condenser mics. And some of it is a little bit of circuit design. Some of it is definitely the capsule selection. What I really aim for is to have the frequency response as even as possible around the whole polar pattern.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the main ingredient in stability on stage. Okay. And then a little bit of taming, like really making sure that your high frequencies are tamed. And too many large diaphragm condensers overemphasize the high frequencies.
Yeah.
And that is both a feedback issue and I think sounds unnatural, especially in a live setting.
Yeah,
there's something about that. You may want that kind of like crispness and, sort of breathiness and air in a recording, maybe. But hearing that on live, it just sounds very wrong.
And also, does it also have to do with like one of the first things that starts feedbacking most of the times, like the really toppy high end. When it's in front of a microphone, you can hear it going. So does that also work with like having a more flat response, that it tames that sort of feedback on the stage as well? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So that's a big part of it. It's controlling the response, both at the high end and the low end. Because often many studio mics extend very far into the low end, and that you
Yeah.
really don't want that live.
No,
So
no, you also want to cut that a bit as well. Maybe
Yes.
some of the top end, some of the low end to be like.
Yeah.
And are there other like parts of the whole construction of the microphone that help with this feedback rejection? Is it mostly just the capsule? Has it to do with the filter or the pop filter in front of it, or?
I mean, again, the details of the head basket construction definitely come into play with that.
Yeah.
The Louise style with that T-ball were the first ones that I built, and the whole idea that I had with those was, if the capsule is just suspended in space with as little acoustic interference around it, that should let the capsule work and do its directional work as cleanly as possible. And that's sort of true, but in practice, I ended up finding that it actually does better with a small blockage on the back of the ball.
Okay.
So there is a rubber washer on the very back of the ball, and that was just experimentation and playing around, and that actually seemed to help the directional control a little bit.
So just so people know, you said it very quickly, but we are talking about this microphone, the Louise.
Yeah.
And we see a T-ball here.
Yes. That is an actual T-ball. Yeah, no, like I say, I found a lot of these are just repurposed parts and pieces.
Yeah.
An oversized T-ball, obviously. The ring that we use for these is a flan ring from a restaurant supply company. The other parts are plumbing parts or lamp hardware. The joints that we get are from a supplier for lamp hardware. So a lot of the work, once I realized that there was interest in them, and I wanted to actually make a bunch of them to be able to make a company out of this, was finding suppliers for all of these parts that I had first found just in junk stores or around, and trying to figure out what is that and how do I actually get 20 of them at a time initially, or now hundreds at a time. So that was a part of it, is like tracking down all of the sourcing for bits and bobs.
Because business is growing and there are more and more Ear Trumpet Labs all over the world. What's it like to see your creations on such big stages and venues all around the world? Because there are so many really big names that use Ear Trumpet Labs. How does that feel?
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's mind-blowing. And that's always been the thrill of all of this, is getting to see artists performing with them. And that's everything, from, relatively small-scale singer-songwriters that, I absolutely adore. I found so many musicians that I just love their music through the mics, through them using them, through them seeing them, and then some of the giant performances or really big name artists. It also just blows me away. Yeah.
Maybe we can talk a little bit about the microphones individually while we're talking about their usage. I think it maybe is a good way to start with these two over here. So we're talking about a Edwina and a Delpina microphone. Can you give a short introduction of these mics?
Yeah, sure. So they're both the large diaphragm condensers. The main difference is really that they're tuned for a different distance, sort of ideal distance usage. So the Edwina I think of as a spot mic, typically single instrument, single source, although it's a very gradual drop off, and it does sound very smooth, and it's quite usable out to a foot, even farther, 1.5 feet maybe. So it's really good for a singer-songwriter, single performer. You can get voice and guitar in this one very easily. But it will sound a little bit thin out past that.
So you need
distance.
to be quite close to
you want to be you want to be that foot or closer, which is why we really say single source, single player is what we describe. Delpina is really the same mic, but with a deeper sweet spot. So you can get as far away as you can practically get in the room, and the tone will stay consistent. It'll get a little bit more of a low end emphasis as you get closer. With the Edwina, so
because it also needs to get the low end when you're farther away, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but that's really the main difference. You can recognize them by the brass bracket on the Delpina and the steel bracket on the Edwina.
So, like there's uses for these microphones specifically, like single miking instruments, acoustic instruments, voices as well.
Voices, yes.
And then
we have a pop filter that fits on the face of that adds extra pop filtering protection. So you can use it as a quite close vocal mic on a loud stage.
This is also a mic that we use a lot for our demos as well, together with the Edna. Actually, we're getting there later. But and then the Delpina, we're talking ensembles, multiple people.
Usually multiple people.
Oh, fetch me a ruby on a sterling silver ring, and one more night under the starry sky. One day I'll make her mine, my sweetheart of pines, Mary May, sweet Mary May.
As an all-around recording mic, the Delpina is usually my go-to for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Unless I'm like specifically just miking a guitar, where the Edwina is sort of already pre-tuned to be great at that 8-inch distance.
Yeah. Also, I think maybe one of the two most popular ear trumpet mics.
Yeah. I mean, both of them quite popular. The Edwina is probably our most popular, biggest seller. And, like I say, we suggest it for single use. It's probably most famously seen with the Milk Carton Kids use a single Edwina. And that's with a duet. They're very good at working it and staying fairly
Two
close.
guitars, two voices.
Two guitars, two voices.
And it can also do that. So there are always multiple uses with all the microphones, of course.
Yes.
Maybe we could talk a little bit about the new kit on the block.
Yeah.
The Wanda, which is a pretty new release. We're talking...
1 year ago.
1 year ago?
Just about a year ago, last spring.
And it's a pretty different design than what you did previous years, right?
Yes, yeah. It's definitely a different visual vibe.
Yeah.
It is, in practical use, you can think of it as quite similar to the Edwina. It's typically a single source. It has a similar depth of sweet spot. It has the same capsule. It has a different sound. Again, the head basket design really does affect the sound and the tonality quite a bit. This ends up feeling a little bit more focused. The pattern measures similar, but in real use, it definitely feels a little tighter.
Yeah.
It has more pop filtering built into it.
Yeah.
So again, as a close vocal mic on a fairly loud stage, I was thinking partly with the styling. One of the uses I was really thinking of it was as a kind of R&B rockabilly vocal mic.
It always comes unexpected, blazing tongues and smoky clouds. Your love, it spreads like a fire, and there's nothing to put it down.
It also is a nice sounding instrument mic on acoustic instruments.
Because I think with the multiple filters, so the larger filter, it can handle some more pressure.
It can definitely handle. That was the other major difference with this, was I redesigned the circuit to handle much higher sound pressure level.
Yeah.
So you can close mic. It's a great guitar amp mic.
Yeah.
You can close mic percussion. You can close mic a snare, even with a heavy player.
Yeah.
And it sounds great. It's a really nice sounding snare mic. So
There's a lot
of
horns
recording.
As well.
Sorry.
Horns maybe as well.
Yes. And horns.
Yeah.
All of that was kind of what I was thinking of. I really wanted something that would handle loud sources well.
And so we're talking about the Wanda. Maybe we can do a quick little segue. Where are all the names coming from? All the female names?
I think of them, well, I generally think of them as grandma names.
Okay.
Powerful old ladies.
Yeah.
Is kind of what I'm thinking. But so the first, Louise was one of the first ones, and that's my actual grandmother's name.
Okay.
And then I often will ask people what their grandmother's names are, and sort of take them down and keep a list and see what kind of seals. Some of them they lead, like Wanda. We were definitely thinking of Wanda Jackson.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them were a little more specific. Well, Nadine, the bass mic, the upright bass mic, is actually named for Nadine Landry, who's an amazing bass player, who I built the first one for.
Yeah. Maybe we can do that mic next. I'll pick it up here.
Oh, do we have one here?
Yeah, we have one here. And that's also a way to show the people out there that this is also a case that you get with all the ear trumpets, which is really cool as well.
Yeah.
Look at this. There she is. And you will get this sort of case with all the mics that you buy from Ear Trumpet.
And this may not make a lot of sense unless you see it on the instrument. But it is mountable on the bass, or is designed to be mounted on the bass. So the body, this has a little Velcro elastic strap, and that straps onto the tailpiece, and then this comes up, and that little groove in the washer pops between the strings.
Yeah.
So it mounts between the tailpiece and the bridge, and just, at that, that distance off of the face.
Yeah.
The idea is, again, a large diaphragm condenser that sees, enough of the face of the instrument that you really get a feel for the true sound of the instrument.
Also a whole world of players that maybe felt a little bit left behind, the upright bass players with the miking on the stage, because this is really an answer to a problem that they had for years, right? Yeah. So maybe you will have had a lot of questions throughout the years, like, can you do something like this for us?
This was exactly how I built this. Nadine, her band, Foghorn String Band, had been using our mics almost from the very beginning. They're Portland based. And she always felt left out. It's like, everybody else gets to use yours, and I need something for my bass. Yeah. Yeah, so she came in the shop, brought her bass, brought a bunch of donuts, sat me down, and was like, make one.
That's how you get you to make a microphone for you. Just bring a lot of donuts.
Bring some donuts. Yeah.
For this next mic, we're talking about the Edna.
Yes.
What is the Edna?
So this is the one small diaphragm mic that we do in the lineup. So it's a side address, so similar capsule to what you'll see in a lot of pencil mic, small diaphragms, but it is a side address. Again, has its own sort of distinct tone for it, but specifically an instrument, closer spot mic for instruments. It has a very even, really uncolored tone.
Yeah, and what would you use it for? What kind of instruments?
Definitely guitar, mandolin, banjo. It's a little awkward to place for fiddle maybe, but it sounds good on fiddle. I have definitely used that on fiddle.
Yeah. And we use this as well on a lot of our demos as well. And we use the Edwina, but I think we use the Edna even more the last couple of months, and we just really like the sound of it on acoustic guitars. Maybe a little like a focused sound, not too much bass end. Yeah. It's just a really, really pleasant sound on acoustic acoustic guitars. We'll move over to this side because then we have some of the larger construction here. Yeah, well, walk us through this selection of microphones.
So the Myrtle and the Louise are both tuned for that somewhat larger, that further distance.
Yeah.
Typically, like these are very popular for doing multiple players around in a live setting, as sort of that centerpiece on the stage, and you know where the tone will stay consistent as far away as you can get on a stage, practically
And then you just
speaking.
move, but we talked a little bit about the dance that people do on a stage, right? In front of a microphone, just move in and out to accentuate different instruments at the right time.
Yeah, and it's beautiful to see a band that, you know, it has a little bit of practice in doing this.
I can see the sun peek through my window.
On the one hand, I mean, it's just a more natural feeling performance style for acoustic players that, you know, are used to sitting around in a jam circle and playing off of each other acoustically. This style of performance is a really
you can get
nice,
the same kind of performance on a stage using this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it provides a nice visual aspect to not just the mic itself, but that kind of performance is really engaging for an audience. And I think bands have really liked that. So between the two mics, they both do that job. You know, functionally, they're very similar. They just have a little bit of a different tone between them. And again, that just comes from the head basket construction. Louise is a little brighter, a little crisper. The Myrtle is a little mellower.
So would you use it on different ensembles, or is it just like a question of taste? Or maybe if you have certain kind of instruments, and maybe move towards the Myrtle, and maybe for other...
It's largely just sort of a question of taste. A lot of very traditional bluegrass bands gravitate toward the Louise. Partly I've been making that one longer, and I think it got well known in bluegrass circles, but it also makes sense because it's, if you want a little bit more of that sort of attack and crispness of, you know, the banjo and the mandolin, the Louise is well suited for that.
Also, the older bluegrass recordings, they tend to have a lot of high end as well, or can be focused towards maybe more the high end. So if that's a sound that you're looking for with your band, then maybe this is the way to go for you.
Yeah, exactly. Other than that, it's if people have a chance to actually try them out and listen, that's always a good thing. I'm sometimes surprised that, you know, one band figuring out which one to do. I may have an idea in my head that, like, I'll bet you they're going to like the Myrtle better, but then in practice, you know, I'll listen and I'll agree that you know, sometimes it's just the way that it works with a voice.
Or they end up choosing an Edwina. Could also be.
Exactly. There are a bunch of options, but they're all, you know, they're not so radically different that if you weren't actually A/B'ing them in the same space, your impression would just be, oh, it's a natural sound. That's what this is the band as it sounds.
Her hair was red, kissed by the sun, and her eyes were as green as the meadows. And I knew that my heart was gone. It always comes unexpected, blazing tongues and smoky clouds. Your love, it spreads like a wildfire, and there's nothing to put it down.
Maybe something a little bit more different than the rest of the lineup. So we have a stereo mic here.
We do. Yeah, Evelyn, which is really a stereo pair of the Delpinas. It's tuned like the Delpinas, and it's set up at ORTF stereo distance. So, I mean, classically, if you put it at the 110 degree spacing, it's a really nice stereo mic for recording. The drum overheads,
Right,
or I use it as a room mic all the
Yeah.
time.
It's a brand new day in Middleburg, PA. Far from where buildings are tall and gray. Far from the subway at 6 a.m. on Monday in Middleburg, early May.
I'll put it, maybe 8-10 feet
Yeah.
in front, and then have some close mics on things. And it's just if you want some nice room sound.
Also because it has like the Delpina low-end response as well, so
Yes.
it can really capture the essence of a room.
Yes.
We've used this also, right, with the live sessions here in the back of the room. This is a nice sounding room. It's pretty roomy sounding,
Yeah.
but it captures that beautifully.
Yeah, exactly. There are bands that just really like the look of it, and will use it live. You can, and that works fine. Towed out a little bit, it gives you a little bit more room to get players around.
Yeah. And of course, you can still use it with like a traditional bluegrass or folk setup, also with vocals as well.
Yes.
It's just the way that you twist
Yes.
the microphones, the way that you use it.
Yeah.
All right. It's a beautiful lineup. We will have sound samples and video samples of each and every mic out there, and then the Lonesome Malones also will play like 2 or 3 sessions. I think they will use the Myrtle and the Louise as well. So I'm really looking forward to what your opinion is on all these mics. And Philip, thank you for being here and talking to me about your company and your beautiful microphones. It's been a real pleasure.
It's a joy. This is a wonderful place. I'm having a great visit. Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you for watching. Please leave a comment down below if you enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. And then we hope to see you in the next video on this channel. So, bye-bye.
Bye.
1, 2, 3. I was traveling through the country, that old check empty rundown. I was bound for California, leave this hauler for a town. It was then I met her at the station. Her hair was red, kissed by the sun, and her eyes were as green as the meadows. And I knew that my heart was gone. It always comes unexpected, blazing tongues and smoky clouds. Your love, it spreads like a wildfire, and there's nothing to put it down. She greeted me and asked me about my journey. Her voice was soft as summer rain, but I found out her ways were quite opposing. A bid farewell, my heart full of pain. And I regret I didn't change direction, for her train went to the old North State. By the time I mustered up my courage, that whistle called, and I was far too late. It always comes unexpected, blazing tongues and smoky clouds. Your love, it spreads like a wildfire, and there's nothing to put it down. station since the day that I found out that my heart lies in North Carolina, and I hope one day that she be coming south. It always comes unexpected, blazing tongues and smoky clouds. Your love, it spreads like a wildfire, and there's nothing to put it down. Your love, it spreads like a wildfire, and there's nothing